Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu seeks European Union support to fight poverty and insecurity. 9th House of Reps winds down. Plus, U.S. former Vice President Pence announces U.S. presidential run. Details of these stories and more in a moment. We'll begin the report tonight with a story from the President Bola Tinubu, who has called on the European Union to assist Nigeria and Africa in strengthening security and economic development to alleviate poverty in the continent. In a statement by the Director of Information to the President, Abiodun Oladunjoye, Tinubu spoke during a telephone conversation with the President of the European Council, Charles Michel. The European Council is the EU institution that defines the general political direction and priorities of the European Union. According to President Tinubu, Nigeria and the whole of Africa would require the help and partnership of her friends and development partners like the EU to address the excruciating poverty in the continent, while requesting the EU to look at specific areas of security challenges like Lake Chad and coastal areas. The Nigerian leader promised to remain in contact with the European Union and other member states. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu today hosted members of the Nigerian Governors Forum at the presidential villa. The meeting also involved new personalities elected as governors in their various states, as well as the returning ones. The meeting commenced at noon, shortly after Tinubu swore in Senator George Akume as the new secretary to the government of the Federation. The swearing-in ceremony was held briefly at the council chamber of the presidential villa today. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu, ahead of the June 13 inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, would officially meet with the lawmakers-elect across party lines tomorrow. Reports say the invitation of the president was conveyed in an official letter from the State House to the Senate and read today by the Deputy Senate President Obi Omar Gege, who presided over the plenary. According to the letter, the meeting between the lawmakers and the president would take place at the State House Conference Center, State House Abuja, tomorrow by 2 p.m. Elsewhere now, President Tinubu today met major oil marketers at Aso Rock, Abuja. The oil marketers were led by Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, who was the chairman of the Oil Marketers Association. The president's meeting with the oil marketers comes amid the controversy and protests trailing the removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit, known as petrol. It will be recalled that the president, during his inaugural speech on May 29 at the Eagle Square in Abuja, announced the removal of subsidy payment on petrol. The president said that the immediate past administration of Muhammadu Buhari did not make provisions for subsidy in the 2023 budget beyond June. Meanwhile, Nigeria's leader, President Tinubu, has sworn in George Akume as the new secretary to the government of the Federation (SGF) at the council chamber. Akume, in the brief ceremony, which had dignitaries including some serving and former governors, took his oath of allegiance and oath of office. Present at the ceremony were the Vice President Kashim Shettima, President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan, Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation Dr. Folashade Yemi-san, and the spouse of the new SGF, Regina Akume. Reports say his duty commences with immediate effect. In a related development, the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bas Mustafa, today signed and handed over documents of office to his successor, George Akume. The handover took place at the SDF office located at the Three Arms Zone in Abuja, shortly after Akume's arrival. President Bola Tinubu earlier administered the oath of office on Akume. From the red chambers now, where the Senate has rejected the controversial National Water Resources Bill 2023 after it was listed for concurrence on the order paper for consideration and passage. The bill sought to establish the National Council on Water Resources, Nigeria Water Resources Regulatory Commission, River Basin Development Authorities, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, and the National Water Resources Institute. Reports say the proposed bodies, if established, were to provide for the regulation, equitable and sustainable development, management, use and conservation of Nigeria's surface water and groundwater resources. Recall that former President Muhammadu Buhari had in 2017 presented the controversial bill to both chambers of the National Assembly, which seek to transfer the control of water resources from the states to the federal government. From the Green Chambers now, where the 9th House of Representatives has wound down, where the last plenary of the Parliament held today, adjourned sine die indefinitely. The House held its valedictory session today, which the outgoing Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila presided over. Reports say leaders and members of the House spent about 3.5 hours. The session lasted to recall major events recorded in the chamber in the last 4 years. In attendance were former presiding and principal officers of the House, including Gali Naaba, Patricia Ete, Babangida Ngoroje, Mulikat Akondeya Deola, among others. Ete spoke on behalf of the ex-lawmakers, after which Gbajabiamila presented 9th House membership certificates to members, starting with the Deputy Speaker Ahmed Wase. The Speaker noted that it was the first time in the history of National Assembly that certificates would be issued to outgoing members. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has called for forensic audit of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) to determine its assets and liabilities as well as its current market value. According to the House, the audit has become necessary due to the metamorphosis of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation into a limited liability company. The House's ad hoc committee on NNPCL's assets and liabilities in its report, which was presented to the legislature, claimed that its findings showed that asset worth 28 trillion naira was unveiled by former President Buhari, but during the transfer, only 26 trillion naira at the official rate of 450 naira was transferred, leaving a balance of 2 trillion naira unaccounted for. However, the House recommended that NNPCL should reassess its accounting system. In the meantime, the House of Representatives has urged President Bola Tinubu to constitute a high-level presidential committee to undertake a holistic review of the processes of the Nigeria Air project. The chairman of the Committee on Aviation, Nnolim Nnaji, said this in Abuja after careful evaluation of the issues of the Nigeria Air. Nnaji noted that the committee was totally dissatisfied with the actions of the former Minister of Aviation in going ahead to flag off the operations of Nigeria Air in spite of the standing court injunction against such. He, however, said that such a process should be transparent and all-embracing, stressing that the committee would not accept any attempt by any individual or group to hide under the project and siphon the commonwealths of the country. The committee therefore directed the Federal Ministry of Aviation and its partners in the Nigeria Air project to immediately suspend flights operations and other actions with respect to Nigeria Air. In a related development, the interim managing director of Nigeria Air, Dagbo Olumide, has said that the aircraft used to unveil the country's national carrier was a legitimate chartered flight from Ethiopian Airlines. Olumide, while stating this before the Senate Committee on Aviation, said the aircraft was returned to Ethiopian Airlines after the unveiling. According to him, Nigeria Air was unveiled at the time to prove to Nigerians that the project was not a fluke. On electoral matters now, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has released the final list of candidates for the November 11 governorship election in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo states. The INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of the Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, said the approval of the list followed a meeting held by the Commission in Abuja. According to a statement by Okoye, 18 political parties nominated candidates in Kogi, 17 in Bayelsa, and 16 in Imo State. The statement also revealed that 2 political parties are fielding female candidates in Bayelsa State, 1 in Kogi State, and none in Imo State. The INEC Commissioner added that the campaign for the elections will officially commence from Wednesday, 14th June, and will end on the 9th of November. Away from that, the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) has said that no fewer than 108 stranded Nigerians in Tripoli, Libya, have been received. This is contained in a statement by the agency today in Lagos State. The Director General, NEMA Mustafa Ahmed, who officially received the returnees on behalf of the federal government, said that the returnees comprise 52 males, 46 females, 4 male children, 2 female children, and 5 infants. Ahmed, who was represented by Ibrahim Farinloye, Lagos Territorial Office Coordinator, said that the returnees arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport Cargo Wing Ikeja on Al Burak Air Boeing 737-800. In a separate development, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has debunked claims suggesting that lopsided promotions are taking place within the agency. NDLEA spokesman Femi Babafemi noted in a statement today that no such thing exists within the agency. He added that promotions remain an ongoing exercise based on a number of factors, including vacancy. He urged the public to disregard any such information that seeks to cast aspersion on the strides attained by the NDLEA, especially under the steady leadership of General Marwa. To Adamawa State now, where Governor Ahmadu Fintiri has appointed Awal Tukra as the new secretary to the state government SSG. Fintiri also announced the appointment of Edgar Amos as his chief of staff. The information is contained in a statement released today by Fintiri's chief press secretary, Humwashi Wonosiko. Awal Tukra, a former member of the House of Representatives, served as Director General of the Presidential Gubernatorial Campaign Council of PDP in Adamawa State in the 2023 elections. Awal, the son of former PDP chairman Babanga Tukra, was before his reign as the campaign DG of Atiku Abubakar and Fintiri in Adamawa State, the chairman of the Governing Council of Adamawa State University, Mubi. In another development, Niger State Governor Muhammad Umaru Bago has revoked the certificate of occupancy of a filling station and ordered its demolition in Minna, the state capital. The governor gave the directive when he inspected the filling station along Kataren Gwari in the Minna metropolis. According to him, the structure was illegal and its location was not safe for the people of the area, insisting that he had earlier asked the owners to stop work. Back here, as the World Food Safety Day is celebrated around the globe today with the theme Food Standards Save Lives, people have been advised on the importance of food standards in preventing foodborne illnesses and on measures to avoid food contamination. Speaking with Spectrum Television on the history and significance of the celebration, a creative director of Janelle's enterprise, Food and Confectionery, Chef Edima Bassi, said the day is aimed at emphasizing the importance of safe food handling to avoid foodborne diseases. According to her, food safety has a critical role in assuring that food stays safe at every stage of the food chain from production to consumption. She further educated on the standards of keeping food safe to prevent foodborne illnesses. Still to come in the news. car-hailing drivers demand Uber Bolt cut commission by 50%. Let's know this.
Your attention, please.
Uyo, listen up. Igbo Air is turning 4, and we are turning up. With a first-of-its-kind drive-in cinema featuring our world record breaker Hilda Bassi live in Uyo, Nollywood stars Imeb Bishop, Iniedo, and Chidi Mokeme. Also featuring Kenny Black, Dan Dizzy, Ibaudo, and lots more performances. Side attractions include stunts by bikers and BMW Club. There'll be light painting and graffiti wall. It's a cruise party. Date is Friday, 9th of June 2023. Venue is a compact Tropicana Entertainment Center, Uyo. Time, red carpet and main event 5 p.m. while the movie is 8 p.m. prompt. Proudly supported by Guinness, BMW, Jameson Irish Whiskey, Cold Stone, Tropicana Mall, Ibom Icon Hotel and Golf Resort, Domino's Pizza, DreamWorks Direct, Iwalewa Art Gallery, and many more. This event is strictly by invitation. Stay tuned to this platform and all Ibom Air's social media platforms for more information. Ibom Air, flying forward. This event is powered by Clola Media.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters counsel is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding in cross-examination?
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Affecting the common Nigerian, from issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
Security,
education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people relationships, organizations thrive, and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
And thanks for staying tuned. We're moving now to Africa, where Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has sacked more than 200 soldiers, including senior military officers. Major General Alois Muganga, commander of the Army's Mechanized Division, and Brigadier General Francis Mutiganda are among 16 officers who have been dismissed. According to reports, another 228 soldiers of other ranks have also been kicked out. The statement released by the Rwanda Defense Force RDF in the early hours of today gave no reason for the sackings. Still in Africa, a South African court has thrown out a private prosecution brought by the former President Jacob Zuma against a senior state prosecutor and a journalist. Zuma had claimed that Billy Downer and Karen Morgan leaked his confidential records. Meanwhile, Morgan's lawyer argued that Zuma had pressed charges because he did not like the way she had reported a corruption case against the former president. The Pietermaritzburg court ruled that the private prosecution violated press freedom and South Africa's constitution. The court also ruled that Zuma is forbidden from pursuing these charges privately. Meanwhile, Sierra Leone and Algeria have reportedly been elected non-permanent members of the UN Security Council representing Africa. The Sierra Leonean President Julius Maada said the election is a generational accomplishment. According to him, the election represented the country's unique access as a democratic and peaceful country of resilience that had successfully transitioned from war to peace. Meanwhile, Guyana, Republic of Korea, and Slovenia were also elected following a vote by the General Assembly. Reports say the five will join Ecuador, Japan, Malta, Mozambique, and Switzerland as non-permanent members of the Council. According to reports, the new members will take up their seats on 1st January and will serve until 31st December 2025. In the meantime, Senegal has temporarily closed its consulates abroad following attacks on diplomatic missions in Bordeaux, Milan, Paris, and New York, among others. The Foreign Affairs Ministry said in a statement that the precautionary measure followed a series of aggressions that caused serious damage. According to the ministry, the consulate in Milan had been particularly hit hard, with passport-making machines and identity cards damaged. Reports say the closures come amid political tensions in Senegal following the sentencing of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko last week to 2 years in prison, which led to deadly protests. Still in Africa, the police in Ghana have been fined more than $8,800 for failing to release information over alleged brutality in compliance with a directive by a commission. Ghana's Right to Information Commission had directed the police to provide the information requested by the Commonwealth. According to the Commission in a statement, the police had breached the law and imposed an administrative fine, which the police are required to pay within 14 days. Meanwhile, a senior official with the UN Refugee Agency UNHCR in Geneva has warned that the ongoing conflict in Sudan has created a regional crisis that has security and economic repercussions. According to reports, since the start of the conflict in Sudan in April, refugees have fled across the border to South Sudan, the majority of whom are South Sudanese returnees who are now coming back to the country they had once been forced to flee. They are arriving alongside refugees from Sudan and various other countries. Meanwhile, the number of new arrivals into South Sudan this week has surpassed the 100,000 mark. Still in Africa, Kenya's Interior Minister says the government will convert the Shakahola forest, where more than 250 members of a Christian cult followers died, into a national memorial. Kithure Kindiki said once the recovery of the bodies buried in the 800-acre forest was complete, that the place will be turned into a place of remembrance so that people do not forget what happened there. He said the government had enough evidence to prosecute the leader of the cult and the main suspect, Pastor Paul Mackenzie, for genocide after he allegedly convinced his followers to fast to death in order to go to heaven. According to autopsy reports, most of the victims, including children, died of starvation, but some were strangled, beaten, or suffocated. On the foreign scene now, Mike Pence has announced today his entry into the 2024 United States presidential election as the former vice president goes up against his ex-boss, Donald Trump, for the Republican nomination. The evangelical Christian is scheduled to appear at a campaign launch event the same day in the early voting state of Iowa, joining an already crowded field that includes Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Trump's closest competition. Pence's announcement comes 2 days after papers filed with the U.S. Federal Election Commission showed he had formally
beliefs are insulted, and much will be required. That's why today, before God and my family, I'm announcing that I'm running for President of the United States of America.
Still on the foreign scene now, all of the train services involved in a triple collision in India's deadliest railway disaster for decades resumed journeys today as officials revised the death toll up to 288. The train, which was full, chugged out of the station 5 minutes behind the scheduled time as scores of people looked on. The service was one of 3 trains involved in the crash near Balasore in the eastern state of Odisha on Friday. As usual, long and winding queues formed for the train's unreserved section. Meanwhile, Speaker Yael Braun-Pivet, who is from President Emmanuel Macron's party but is officially neutral, confirmed she would reject the bid to introduce new legislation on constitutional grounds, infuriating its backers. Speaking to Newsman, she said an amendment proposed by the small riot faction in Parliament and backed by left-wing parties would be declared inadmissible. She was alluding to Article 40 of the Constitution, which bans legislative proposals from MPs that would add a burden to the public finances. According to reports, reversing the increase in the retirement age to 64 from 62, the key measure of Macron's hard-fought pension reform, would add billions to government spending. Meanwhile, opponents of the pension reform have seen Laird's parliamentary maneuver as their last hope of thwarting the changes, having previously tried and failed with an appeal to the country's constitutional court. Observers said the minority government risked losing a vote on the Laird legislation. However, with left-wing parties, the far right and some center-right, MPs prepared to vote against the executive. In the meantime, Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar has said that fighting around Bakhmut remains the epicenter of hostilities. Speaking on Telegram, Maliar said Ukrainian forces have made gains ranging from 200 meters in some areas to 1,100 meters in others. The defense minister also noted that Wagner fighters had largely withdrawn, adding that they remain in some places in the rear and large majority of the fighting is now being conducted by regular units of the Russian Federation, including airborne units. In a related development, thousands of people have reportedly been evacuated downstream of a major dam which has collapsed in Russian-held Ukraine. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, while blaming Russia, said 80 towns and villages may be flooded after the destruction of the dam at Novokakhovka. Reports say water is surging down the Dnipro River and is said to pose a catastrophic flooding risk to the city of Kherson. Meanwhile, Russia has denied destroying the dam which it controls, instead blaming Ukrainian shelling. The International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) said the situation is under control and there is no immediate nuclear safety risk for the plant. Elsewhere, leading arms manufacturer Rheinmetall is racing to meet demand for weapons and ammunition to supply Kiev as well as Germany and other NATO countries, which are bolstering their defenses after draining stockpiles. In March, as intense fighting continued around Bakhmut, NATO's chief said they need to ramp up production, warning Ukraine's usage was outstripping allies' production capacity. Germany has long been a major arms maker and exporter, but in a country still haunted by guilt over Nazi atrocities in World War II, its manufacturers have kept a relatively low profile. But as Russia's war in Ukraine spurs demand, business is booming for Rheinmetall, which has seen orders surge and in March joined Frankfurt's blue chip DAX stock index. Meanwhile, the European Union has agreed on a plan to spend €2 billion on artillery shells for Ukraine to try to get 1 million rounds of artillery ammunition to the country over 12 months. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening. It's business news. My name is Blessing Dixon. In the news, car-hailing drivers in Nigeria, under the umbrella of the Amalgamated Union of App-Based Transport Workers of Nigeria, have demanded Uber and Bolt reduce their commissions. The drivers are demanding that the commission received by Uber and Bolt should be reduced by 50% after the car-hailing companies increased their ride fees. In a statement today, the group said the drop in commission will enable them to cope with maintenance costs, spare parts, and various overhead costs and the current fuel increase. In the U.S. investment research firm Hindenburg Research has alleged that Tingo Group, a fintech company owned by Dozim Bossi, is a scam. In a report released on Tuesday, Hindenburg Research said Tingo is a diversified business which has subsidiaries spread across the mobile phones market, food processing, and online food marketplace for farmers in Nigeria. However, Hindenburg claimed it discovered that Tingo's operations are non-existent, but that Mbosi reportedly goes around with dubious claims. Hindenburg said the $1.6 billion food processing plant Tingo claimed to have launched does not exist, as the plant is only a bare land with just a signpost, despite informing the United States Securities and Exchange Commission that the building of the plant is progressing. Mbosi came to limelight when he offered to buy Sheffield United, a football club in England. Tingo, the New Jersey-based firm of fintech, the New Jersey-based group of fintech firms founded by a Nigerian entrepreneur, on Tuesday faced railing allegations from Hindenburg Research, blasting its market value from misrepresentation in taxes to accounting fraud. The accusations by the short seller sent Tingo's group share price crashing by roughly half on Nasdaq, and investors' confidence sank. Hindenburg alleged on its website it came to the knowledge that Dozie Mbosi, the founder, falsely professed to hold a PhD in rural advancement from Malaysian University in 2007 after the school said no such name features in its record. The 43-year-old is a chief executive at Tingo International Holdings, the parent company of Tingo. The investment research house stated that Mr. Mbosi claimed to have created Nigeria's first mobile payment app. In contrast, the actual developer of the app has described the session as a pure lie. Let's take a look at the Nigerian stock market. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the benchmark all-share index paired 13.29 basis points to close at 56,025.56 points. Compared with yesterday's trading data, today's data shows 25% improvement in volume, 12% improvement in turnover, but 9% decline in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 30.5 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 119 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 32 gainers and 13 losers. Honeywell Flour Mill led the gainers with 9.87% share price appreciation, closing at 3 naira 45 kobo per share. Union Bank Nigeria came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 8.86% at 7 naira 20 kobo per share. NPF Microfinance Bank recorded the highest volume of 101 million traded shares. This is all on business news. Do stay with Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Blessing. Still to come in the news. Real Madrid agree £1,113 million deal for Bellingham. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, in health, the European Commission (EU) has joined the United States in approving the world's first vaccine for the respiratory syncytial virus (RSV) to be used by adults aged 60 and above. The GlaxoSmithKline GSK Chief Scientific Officer Tony Wood, in a statement, noted that the authorization for RSV means eligible adults can be vaccinated against RSV disease for the first time. The GSK said RSV is a common contagious respiratory virus that leads to approximately 20,000 in-hospital deaths each year in adults aged 60 years and over in Europe. Recall that the United States approved the drug last month, while the vaccine was the culmination of a decades-long hunt to protect vulnerable people from the common illness. Still in health, medical professionals have advised pregnant women to desist from taking unprescribed medications, warning that it can lead to miscarriage and deformities in babies. They said the use of medication in pregnancy without a doctor's prescription could have devastating impacts on both the mother and her unborn baby. The maternal health experts, while highlighting the risks associated with such action, further revealed that it could lead to jaundice in babies, especially among those treating urinary tract infections with antibiotics. In sports now, Spanish giants Real Madrid signed Jude Bellingham from Borussia Dortmund today to secure one of the most exciting young talents in world football. Madrid made the 19-year-old one of the most expensive players of all time with €103 million deal, which could rise by up to 30% more. Bellingham burst onto the biggest stage of the Qatar World Cup in 2022, driving England into the quarterfinals, where they were narrowly ousted by eventual runners-up France. The midfielder, who turns 20 later in June, brought grace and balance to the Three Lions with tireless energy to contribute at both ends of the pitch and maturity beyond his years. Reports say Kuhl had helped him become Dortmund's youngest captain when he took the armband last October, and that he took them to the brink of a rare title. So in sports now, Chelsea have reportedly opened talks with Paris Saint-Germain over a possible deal for Neymar. Reports say Neymar could be on the verge of leaving the Ligue 1 champions following Lionel Messi out of the door. According to reports, Neymar has largely failed to live up to expectations with PSG and has become the target of criticisms from the club supporters. Meanwhile, former Tottenham and West Ham striker Serhii Rebrov has been named Ukraine head coach. The 49-year-old, who scored 15 goals in 75 games for Ukraine between 1992 and 2006, has signed a 3-year contract. He replaces Ruslan Roten, who was appointed interim boss after Alexander Petrakov's departure in January. Rebrov, Ukraine assistant coach from 2010 through 2011, has also managed Dynamo Kiev, Ferencváros, and most recently Al Ain in the United Arab Emirates. Meanwhile, Ukraine will be facing Germany in a charity match on 12th June before Euro 2024 qualifiers against North Macedonia on 16th June and Malta on June 19. On entertainment news, Nollywood actress Caroline Danjuma, also known as Carolina Hutchings, has said she would love to remarry, even if it means going back to her ex-husband, Musa Danjuma. Recall that Caroline and her ex-husband dissolved their 9-year-old marriage in 2016. However, in a recent interview with media personality Ine Emma, Caroline said she would love to return to her ex-husband. According to her, she would not have left her marriage if she had the experience she has now. Film entertainment hip-hop sensation Odumodu Black has released the music video for the remix of his hit record Dog Eat Dog 2. After recently releasing part 2 of his hit single Dog Eat Dog 2, on which he featured alternative music star Santi and street pop maestro Bella Shmurda, Odumodu Black is back with the conceptual visuals. The music video deploys a classic Nollywood theme that rolls back the years and allegedly gives viewers a rush of nostalgia. Meanwhile, Afrobeat musician Teniola Apata, popularly known as Tenny, has released a new single, No Days Off. This piece takes a look at Tenny's rebrand over the years, which now appears to be complete with the release of her recent single, No Days Off. Her latest single and only release of 2023, No Days Off, is a combination of familiar Yoruba tumba percussions with electronic elements and a fast BPM that's already familiar in the alternative scene through the likes of Odunsi. And finally, on entertainment tonight, sensational Nigerian singer Divine Kubo, popularly known as Rema, has broken Wizkid's record for the longest-running African song atop the Billboard World Digital Song Sales. Rema's hit song with Selena Gomez, Countdown, has spent a record 18 weeks at #1 on the chart this week, surpassing Wizkid and Tems' 2020 Essence, which spent 17 weeks atop the chart. Countdown also debuted at #5 on the official Billboard Song of the Summer chart, making it the first African song to appear on the chart. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. You have a terrific night rest. Bye-bye for now.